She kept yelling, "You can't leave this porch until the HOA board sees this mess," and my daughter sat there, pale and shaking, a chain locked around her wrist like she was some kind of criminal. I froze when I saw it. My own porch. My own house. My 12-year-old girl, Emma, a heart patient who couldn't even walk up a flight of stairs without resting, sitting in the cold because Karen thought our Christmas lights were against community rules. I shouted her name, but she didn't even look at me. Karen stood there with that smug smile, holding a clipboard and waving her fake HOA badge. "Maybe now you'll follow the rules, Officer Reynolds," she said, her tone dripping with fake authority. She had no clue who she was talking to. Not just a father. Not just a neighbor. But the actual chief of police of this entire county. I kept my cool, even when every instinct in me wanted to rip that chain off and call backup. "Karen," I said slowly, "unlock her. Now." She crossed her arms. "You think you can intimidate me with that cop act again? I already called my friends from the HOA security team. They'll be here any second." That word, security team, hit me wrong. I stepped closer. Emma's lips were turning blue. "She needs her meds," I said. "Right now." Karen rolled her eyes. "Then maybe next time she won't scream when I take down your illegal decorations." That's when I saw it, my security camera blinking red above the porch light. Recording everything. Every word, every second of this nightmare. Her security team finally showed up. 2 men in black jackets with no badges, no name tags. One of them even had a taser clipped to his belt. Karen grinned like she was the mayor. There they are. Real enforcers. But as they stepped closer to my house, I noticed something familiar about one of them. The walk, the nervous glance. I recognized him instantly. He used to be one of my officers, fired 2 years ago for impersonating a cop. I said nothing, just stared. Karen turned to him. "Arrest him if he tries to remove the chain." The man froze, eyes darting between us. Karen, maybe we should wait for. Do it," she screamed. "He's breaking HOA law." I reached into my pocket, pulled out my badge, and held it upright in her face. "You just gave a command," I said quietly, to a man I fired for pretending to be law enforcement. Her face went pale. She took a step back. Emma looked up, tears in her eyes. "Daddy, my wrist hurts." I bent down, unhooked the chain with my handcuff key, and lifted her up. My voice stayed calm, but my heart was pounding so hard it felt like thunder in my chest. "Karen," I said, "you just committed felony child restraint." She gasped, her mouth opening and closing like she couldn't believe I said it. Then I smiled. "And it's all on video." Her fake guards started backing away fast. Karen's lips trembled, but before she could speak, my police radio crackled from inside the house. Dispatch was calling my name. They'd seen the live feed too. "Chief Reynolds, we're seeing something strange on your porch cam. Need us to roll units." I looked right at Karen. "Yeah," I said. "Send them." Her face went white. The sirens started echoing in the distance. And that's when she whispered, You can't do this to me. I am the law." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Then you just declared war on the law." The sirens grew louder, bouncing off the neighborhood houses, while Karen stood frozen like a statue on my porch. Emma held my arm tightly, her little fingers trembling. I could feel her heartbeat racing against mine, weak but alive. When the first patrol car stopped in front of our gate, Karen finally moved, fixing her hair like she was about to attend a meeting instead of being arrested. "This is a misunderstanding," she blurted out as 2 officers stepped out. "He's overreacting. I was only enforcing community safety regulations." Officer Daniels, one of my best men, glanced at me, then at Karen. "Chief, what's going on here?" I kept my voice level. "She chained my daughter to the porch. Claimed it was HOA protocol." Karen let out a short laugh that sounded more like panic. "That's ridiculous. She was sitting there willingly." Emma's weak voice broke the lie instantly. "She locked me." I begged her to stop. Daniel's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, step aside, please." But Karen wasn't done. She pulled a folded paper from her clipboard and waved it in front of them like it was the Constitution itself. "This is a lawful HOA order, signed by the community board. He violated light regulations. It's in our bylaws." Daniels took it, skimmed the page, and frowned. "This isn't signed by anyone. It's printed off some random website." Karen's face twitched. "That's not true. The HOA president told me to enforce this personally. I leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. Funny. Because I am the HOA president. I took over after the last board resigned for fraud. The color drained from her face completely. For the first time, she looked unsure of herself. No, that can't be right. You can't be both. I can, I said quietly, because this is my neighborhood. I bought half of it during the foreclosure period. She stepped back, stuttering. You bought the. Before she could finish, one of the fake security guards tried to sneak away toward his van. Daniels noticed and shouted, "Stop right there." The man bolted. Within seconds, he was pinned against his vehicle, handcuffed, and shouting, "She told us she was working with the police. She said we were helping an investigation." Karen spun around, horrified. "That's a lie." I stepped closer, my voice colder now. "No, Karen. That's evidence." She shook her head, muttering, "You can't arrest me, I'm part of the board, I have immunity." "Not from felony child abuse, you don't." The second police car arrived, lights flashing against her pale face. Neighbors started peeking out their windows, some recording, others whispering. For years, she'd bullied everyone, written fake violations, sent threats, even called animal control on a veteran's service dog. But tonight, she wasn't the one giving orders. Daniels gestured to me. "Chief, want us to take it from here?" I nodded, keeping my gaze on Karen. "Cuff her. And make sure the report says every word of this was caught on my security feed." She started screaming as the cuffs clicked shut. "You'll regret this. I know people. The HOA won't stand for this." I leaned closer and whispered, "The HOA is me, Karen." The crowd murmured. Someone clapped. But as they led her to the squad car, something about her expression made me pause. She wasn't afraid, not really. Her eyes weren't filled with regret. They were filled with satisfaction. And just before the door closed, she smiled at me and said, "You think this ends with me? You have no idea what's coming." For a moment, the street went silent. Even the sirens faded into the night. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. Because in that single sentence, she wasn't lying. That night, I couldn't sleep. Emma was resting in her room, her wrist bandaged and her medicine finally working, but my mind wouldn't stop replaying Karen's last words. "You think this ends with me?" It echoed in my head like a warning. By morning, everything seemed calm, too calm. The neighborhood group chat was exploding with messages. Half the people were thanking me for standing up to her. The other half were strangely defending her. Karen was just following HOA protocol, one message read. "This will ruin our property values," another said. It didn't make sense. She was caught red-handed on video. Why would anyone defend her? Then I noticed something. My Porch camera feed was gone. All recordings from last night, deleted. My entire security system had been wiped clean. I checked my phone, opened the cloud backup, nothing. Every file labeled, Porch_cam, had been replaced with a new folder called, HOA Internal Records, Restricted Access. That wasn't possible. Only I had admin access. I called Daniels. Check if the evidence from my feed uploaded to the precinct servers. A pause. Then his uneasy voice came through. Chief, I was just about to call you. The footage you sent, it's missing from our evidence log. Someone removed it this morning." My gut tightened. Who had access? Only someone from higher up, maybe legal department. Or a warrant override. Before I could respond, a loud thump hit my front door. I looked out the window, and there it was. Another envelope. Same style as before. HOA letterhead. But this one wasn't from Karen. It read, "Notice of violation, pending community action. Resident, Chief Daniel Reynolds. Violation, abuse of authority, disturbance, and public intimidation." At the bottom was a signature, one I hadn't seen before. Interim HOA Director, Thomas Graves. I froze. Thomas Graves, that name. I knew it. A retired judge, once suspended for bribery, and, according to rumor, Karen's uncle. I stormed outside, but before I could rip the letter down, a black SUV slowed in front of my house. Two men in suits sat inside, just watching. Not saying a word. One of them lifted his phone and snapped a picture of me. Then they drove off, no plates, just tinted windows. Emma came to the doorway, sleepy-eyed and pale. "Dad, are we in trouble again?" I forced a smile. "No, baby. Just neighborhood nonsense." Go back inside, okay. But I could feel it, something bigger was happening. Karen's arrest had triggered something. She wasn't bluffing. Later that afternoon, Daniels called again. Chief, you need to see this. He sent me a link. A video was trending online, already at 50,000 views. The thumbnail showed me yelling on my porch, holding my badge. The title read, Local Police Chief Abuses HOA Member, Shocking Footage Leaked. I played it, and my stomach dropped. The video was cut, edited. It showed Karen calmly, rescuing Emma, claiming I had locked her out for disobeying house rules. Every word of truth was twisted. Who posted this? I asked. Daniels sighed. The account was created last night. Username, HOA Justice for Karen. And it's being shared by someone verified, Thomas Graves. I felt rage rise inside me, cold and heavy. Karen might have been behind bars, but her reach hadn't ended there. I looked out at the quiet street, the same place I'd sworn to keep safe. And for the first time, I realized, this wasn't a neighborhood dispute anymore. This was a war. By the next morning, the whole town was talking. News vans parked near my gate, reporters shouting questions like vultures circling a carcass. Chief Reynolds, did you really chain your daughter? Is it true you abused your power against an HOA member? I said nothing. Every word would only feed their lie. Inside, Emma watched the coverage from the couch, her small face twisted in confusion. Why are they saying you did it, Dad? I knelt beside her, forcing my voice steady. Because bad people lie, sweetheart. But the truth always finds its way back. She nodded slowly, clutching her stuffed bear, the one Karen once tried to ban for being too old and dusty. I kissed her forehead, then stood up, anger burning quietly in my chest. I needed proof. If the porch footage was gone, I'd find something they missed. I went into my office and plugged in the external drive I used to back up the whole property feed. When the files loaded, my breath caught. One folder survived. It was named Garage Cam _backup. I opened it, and there she was. Karen, pacing back and forth, talking to someone through her Bluetooth earpiece. Her voice came through clear as glass. Yeah, I chained her. That'll make the chief snap. Once he loses it, we'll have him removed. Thomas already has the papers ready. My hands clenched. That was it. The missing link. I called Daniels immediately. I've got her confession. She planned it all with Graves. But his tone was off. Hesitant. Chief, I don't think we can use that right now. Why not? I demanded. Because, the DA just announced a review of your position. Someone filed a formal misconduct report against you this morning. Signed by half the city council. My stomach dropped. On what grounds? He hesitated again. They're calling it abuse of law enforcement authority. Apparently, the HOA filed a petition claiming you used police resources for personal revenge. That's when I knew, this was no longer just a smear campaign. This was coordinated. Hours later, I stood in front of City Hall. The cameras followed every step I took. Thomas Graves was already there, surrounded by fake supporters waving signs that read, Justice for Karen, and, No one above the law. He smiled when he saw me. That smug, practiced smile only men like him could master. Daniel, he said, voice smooth as oil. You've made quite a mess for yourself. I walked right up to him. You deleted my footage. You edited that video. You're trying to cover her crime. He leaned closer and whispered, you humiliated my niece on camera. You think that doesn't have consequences? This isn't about justice anymore. It's about power. Before I could respond, reporters rushed closer. Graves turned toward them and raised his voice. This man represents everything wrong with unchecked authority. He thinks his badge makes him untouchable. Flashes went off. People cheered. I stayed silent, jaw tight. But then, from behind the crowd, a familiar voice shouted, Tell them the truth, Graves. Everyone turned. It was Daniels, standing beside my deputy, holding up a flash drive. We found the backup servers. Every file. Every word Karen said. Gasps erupted. Graves' smile vanished. The reporters swarmed him, shouting questions. His comms started to crack. This is taken out of context. Daniels handed the drive to the lead reporter. Play it. Right now. Within seconds, the footage was streaming on every live feed, Karen's confession echoing across the crowd. Once he loses it, we'll have him removed. Thomas already has the papers ready. The crowd erupted. Some booed, others shouted in disbelief. Graves' security tried to pull him back, but he shoved them off, eyes wide with fury. I stepped closer, my voice low but clear enough for every mic to catch. You went after my family, my badge, and my name, now the truth goes after you. For the first time, Thomas Graves didn't have an answer. He just stood there, exposed, cornered, silent. The reporters closed in. The same ones who accused me an hour ago now pointed their cameras at him. And in that chaos, one thought hit me hard. If Karen's uncle had this kind of power, how deep did their network go? Because even as Graves was escorted away, my phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. It said only 5 words. You still think she's done? I stared at the message on my phone until the words blurred. You still think she's done? My fingers tightened around the screen, the cold glow reflecting off my badge. Karen was behind bars. Graves was facing public humiliation. So who sent that message? Before I could think further, a loud bang rattled through the house. Emma screamed from her room. I ran upstairs and found her pointing toward the window. A brick had shattered through it, glass scattered everywhere. I picked it up. Taped around it was another note. Get out of this house before sunset, or you'll wish you had. That was enough. I called Daniels immediately. We've got a threat. Someone's watching us. He was already ahead of me. Chief, we're tracing multiple calls made to the HOA office this morning. All from an unknown number tied to a burner phone network. Whoever's behind this, they're organized. I looked out the window. A black car was parked across the street again, different one this time. Engine running, headlights off. My instincts kicked in. Daniels, I think they're here. He said, stay inside, Chief. We're on our way. But I didn't stay. Not when my daughter was shaking, terrified, holding her stuffed bear like it could protect her. I moved her to the safe room, locked it from the inside, and turned back toward the living room. That's when I saw the motion light flicker on outside. 2 shadows. Moving toward the porch. I pulled my firearm and called out through the door, this is private property. Identify yourselves. Silence. Then a deep voice replied, we're here for the files, Chief. Step aside, and no one gets hurt. I almost laughed. You picked the wrong house to rob. They tried the door, found it locked, then one of them smashed the glass panel. Before they could reach in, red and blue lights flooded the street. Daniel's car screeched to a stop, followed by 3 more units. The men turned and ran. One jumped the fence, the other dove into the waiting car, but not before Daniels caught a clear look at his face. Minutes later, as the chaos settled, Daniels walked up to me, breathing hard. You won't believe this, he said. The guy who ran, he's on parole. Ex-cop. Same one who worked with Karen last week. I rubbed my temples. So it's not over. They're trying to wipe every trace of this case. He nodded grimly. Someone's paying them to do it. We both looked at the shattered glass, the brick, the flashing lights. Emma peeked out from behind the door, her eyes wide. Daddy, are we safe now? She whispered. I crouched, pulling her close. We will be, I promise. But I wasn't sure if I believed my own words. That night, as the neighborhood quieted again, I checked my mailbox one last time, half expecting another threat. But this time, there was no note. Just a small USB drive, no label, no envelope. I brought it inside, plugged it into my laptop, and waited. The screen flickered, then a single video started playing. Karen, in her jail cell, smiling straight at the camera. I told you, Chief, she said softly, eyes gleaming. You can't arrest the HOA. The video ended abruptly, replaced by a second clip, a drone's aerial shot of my house, taken just minutes ago. She wasn't bluffing. Someone was watching. Right now. The phone rang again, unknown number. I answered slowly. Her voice came through, calm and mocking. You're not the only one who knows how to use the law, Chief. You built this neighborhood on justice, and now justice is coming for you. Then the line went dead. I sat there in the dark, realizing something terrifying. This wasn't just revenge. It was an operation. Karen had started it, but someone far bigger was finishing it. By sunrise, the air around my house felt wrong, too still, too quiet. The neighborhood that once buzzed with kids on bikes and barking dogs now looked like a movie set after everyone walked off. Every curtain was drawn, every porch light off. It was As if the entire block knew something was coming, and didn't want to be seen when it did. I barely slept. Emma was resting in the safe room, guarded by one of my most trusted sergeants, while I sat in the living room staring at that drone video frame by frame. Whoever filmed it had high-end tech, military-grade zoom, infrared overlay, timestamped barely an hour before I found the drive. This wasn't the work of some angry WA board anymore. Around 6 a.m., Daniels showed up again, coffee in one hand, a manila folder in the other. "Chief," he said, "we traced the drone feed. It was routed through an old company account, one owned by Graves Holdings LLC. Graves again, I muttered. So even after his exposure, he's still pulling strings. Daniels nodded. Worse, he's not alone. We found connections between his accounts and a private security firm, Black Grove Industries. They used to work government contracts before getting shut down for illegal surveillance. Let me guess, I said. Karen's name shows up somewhere in there too. Daniels flipped a page. She used to be their accountant. My chest tightened. The entire WA drama, it was never about lights, noise, or community rules. It was a cover, a legal shell for something much darker. Before I could respond, my landline rang, an internal line, one that only the station used. I picked it up. Reynolds. A shaky voice came through. "Chief, it's Officer Burns. I just got a call from the county jail. You need to hear this." "What happened?" "It's Karen," he said. "She's gone." I felt the words hit like a cold punch. "Gone? You mean transferred?" "No, sir. Gone." Two men in suits came in with federal clearance paperwork at 3 a.m., claiming they were taking her for a joint investigation. But when we verified the badge numbers this morning, they don't exist. She vanished. Daniel's eyes widened. She was taken out, like a ghost. I put the phone down slowly, my mind racing. They had the footage, the fake warrants, the fake cops, now they had her. Which meant whatever was coming next, she wasn't in jail anymore to stop it. Suddenly, a buzz came from my laptop. New email. No sender. No subject. Just an attachment named, "Final Notice." I hesitated, then opened it. It wasn't a document, it was a video feed. Live. The screen showed the outside of my own station. Someone was there. Men in tactical uniforms were walking in, no insignias, no names, and leading my officers out one by one. Daniels leaned over my shoulder. "Who are they?" I zoomed in. The lead officer turned toward the camera for a split second, and my blood ran cold. It was the same man who'd chained Emma under Karen's orders. The one I'd fired years ago. Only this time, he was wearing a federal badge. Daniels whispered, "Chief, they're taking over your department." The feed cut to black. Then a text popped up on the screen, blinking slowly, one word at a time. "You took our WA. We're taking your city." I stood there, the morning sun creeping through the blinds, realizing exactly what was happening. The WA wasn't just a neighborhood council anymore. It was a front for a silent, organized network. A power that lived inside law, under paperwork, behind rules. And I'd just become their number one enemy. I turned to Daniels, voice steady but eyes burning. "Get the car ready. We're not playing defense anymore." He frowned. "Where are we going?" I holstered my weapon, grabbed the flash drives, and looked out toward the silent, watching street. "To end this," I said. "Once and for all."